So MX HomePro is a URC designed this system to address the needs of customers today. So it's an affordable two-way multi-room smart home system, and it doesn't require any type of special programming knowledge. To program an MX HomePro system, you simply use the MX HomePro editor, which is cloud-based software. There is no special requirements to download it because you don't download it, you access it via a web portal. And this is an affordable way to not only bring two-way control to your customer's home, but also to bring in Z-Wave control. So as you guys know, I'm sure that we have 3 lines of products. So we have CCP, which is strictly IR and RF control. We have MX HomePro, which is all network-based control, which gives you two-way and Z-Wave control as well. And Total Control, which just does automation control and pretty much everything. So those are our 3 lines. MX HomePro sits right in the middle. MX HomePro really allows customers to get a very good feel and a good taste of what URC offers with our flagship system, which is Total Control. It offers a lot of similar features to that line, but to keep costs down, it does have some things that you would find in Total Control. So just some basic information to let you know about MX HomePro and how it stands in comparison to its other line of products. So MX HomePro will control any and all AV gear, whether it be IR or IP. Those are the 2 methods of control you have. You can do IR control over the 4IR rear emitters on the hub, or over the IR front blaster, or IP control, which is strictly over the network. But you can also control lighting systems. You get two-way modules such as Philips Hue, Lutron, and Lutron Radio Raw 2. However, you're not limited to just these two-way modules. You can really incorporate any type of Z-Wave lighting system, whether it be URC Vivito or any other type of Z-Wave lights that you find. You can always tell it's Z-Wave if you see the Z-Wave Plus logo on the box or just the regular Z-Wave logo on the box. Either one will be compatible with our TRF-ZW2 bridge. You can also control thermostats via two-way control with Nest and Honeywell. We have native modules for Nest and Honeywell for MX HomePro, and you can also control any type of Z-Wave thermostat with MX HomePro as well. So it just gives you a lot of flexibility. The ability to add anything that's Z-Wave into an MX HomePro system really opens the door to the amount of products that you can incorporate into the home. So Z-Wave. Z-Wave, you can some of the most popular products you'll find are Z-Wave locks, Z-Wave thermostats, Z-Wave lights, Z-Wave cameras, which are also pretty popular. And using Z-Wave cameras, you can actually view live feeds with an MX HomePro system, whether it be a live feed onto the R500 remote control or onto the URC Home mobile application. Which, if you can have that onto your smartphone, it's available for iOS or Android. You can view live feeds whether your customer is in the home or away from the home, at work, on vacation, whatever the case may be. Using the URC Home app, they have the capability to view those live camera feeds as well as view live status feedback from any and all Z-Wave connected devices. And not only can they view the status of those devices or view the live feeds from the cameras, they can also send commands to their Z-Wave system using the URC Home app. So the URC Home app is really something that's a must-have with the MX HomePro system. So let's take a little bit more of an in-depth look at this. So we've got the MX HP H500 hub. It's a wired or Wi-Fi hub. Of course, we always recommend the wired connection for consistency, stability, and all that good stuff. It's got the 4 rear IR ports for an IR blaster. It's really small, very easy to hide, and that IR blaster in front of it is very, very powerful. So there's 2 applications that you're going to be using with an MX HomePro system. One is just the MX HomePro app. This gives you full control of all your entertainment devices, and it also features an in-app launcher. Now the in-app launcher is how you will go ahead and access apps like Sonos, Nest, or any of those third-party manufacturers that you're incorporating into your system as a two-way module. Now the MX HomePro app does not support two-way modules natively. Instead, it utilizes this in-app launcher to launch into those manufacturing apps. Now, you will also use this in-app launcher to use the URC Home app. And the URC Home app is the second application that you'll be using anytime you're running across an MX HomePro system. So the URC Home app, it's just for Z-Wave control. You can actually launch scenes. You can send single commands to your devices. You can pretty much do everything with the URC Home app. So if you're going to be using Z-Wave and MX HomePro, keep in mind that on your customer's phone, you're going to be using the MX HomePro app and then the URC Home app to control Z-Wave. The R500 remote control, now this is a nifty device to have. This is designed for a single room solution, so you would need one of these per room, and keep in mind that an MX HomePro system maxes out at 5 rooms, so you would need one hub per room, and that's the minimum requirement, and you're only allowed one of these remotes per room. Now what's cool about this remote is that you can get direct two-way feedback from all two-way modules that are programmed into the MX HomePro system, as well as full control and status feedback for Z-Wave devices as well. So let's say you had a dimmer connected to your Z-Wave system. You can actually view the dimmer on the remote control. You can actually go ahead and incorporate the intensity of the light, so you can dim it down, you can make it light, make it brighter, you can turn it on, turn it off. All that control is available directly onto the R500 remote control. So that's something that's really good to know. The other thing is the ZW2 bridge. Now technically this is optional. You can have an MX HomePro system without Z-Wave control. You can absolutely do that. But if you do want to use Z-Wave, you absolutely need the ZW2. Programming is real simple. Don't need a computer. It's compatible with any operating system, whether it be iOS or, whether it be Windows or OS X, although you can also use iOS or Android to program this. You don't need a computer to program this. You can be done with a tablet, mobile phone. As long as the device you're using has an internet connection, you can start getting programming with MX HomePro. So the first thing you want to do is create a dealer account if you don't already have one. So keep in mind that you need an account in order to log into the MX HomePro editor, as well as you need an account in order to log into the URC Mios portal. Now the URC Mios portal gives you dealer access to assigning TRF-ZW2s to your customer. And it also gives you access to the UI7 portal for each one of those ZW bridges. Now the UI7 portal, it's the main part of programming and adding devices for Z-Wave. So that's where you're going to go ahead and add your door locks, your lights, your cameras, your thermostats. Anything Z-Wave related gets programmed into UI7. And you can also create scenes in UI7, which the way that I always look at scenes, they're macros, but except they're macros for Z-Wave. But they're a little more powerful than just calling them macros, because macros is just a series of commands that go in a linear progression, whereas scenes actually do commands simultaneously. So it's not like reading down from a list, it's just having commands all fire at the same time. So it's something that's really powerful, and it's a tool that you can actually utilize into MX HomePro. You can incorporate scenes into your automated activities, or you can incorporate scenes into your event-timed activities. It's really powerful stuff, and we're going to show you today how to do all that within the MX HomePro editor and how to use UI7 and all the stuff that incorporates Z-Wave. So first thing you want to do is select that Help tab, and you're going to go ahead and select the link for Apply for a Dealer Account. Now this is going to open up a form. Fill that out, and this one form will not only just give you access to the MX HomePro editor as a dealer, but it'll also go ahead and give you the access to the Mios portal using the same credentials too. You don't need to create two separate credentials for this. So it's something that's good to know. So in terms of the initial setup with the ZW2, connect the router make sure the router is connected to the internet, connect the TRF-ZW2 with an Ethernet cable to the router, and make sure that it's plugged into the wall. That's how simple the hardware is to set up. Now keep in mind the TRF-ZW2 is Wi-Fi enabled, so you could use this device wirelessly, but you still need this initial hardwired connection before you can set up the Wi-Fi, because the Wi-Fi is also done within UI7, and I'm going to show you where to locate that. It's pretty simple. So this is the URL that you would select in order to go into the Mios portal. It's just urc-portal.mios.com. Again, urc-portal.mios.com. By entering this, you'll be able to access the Mios portal, and you can use the same login credentials that you use for MX HomePro to log into that. Essentially, it looks like this. Enter in your email, enter in your password, log in. So this is what happens when you first log in. It's going to ask you to register a new controller for a new user. What you want to do is you want to make sure that your TRF-ZW2 bridge is already connected to the same network as your computer. If it is connected to the same network, you'll see that the serial number and MAC address will come up here on the right-hand side. And this is going to be very important for when you're registering this new user. So start by entering in an email address, and you want this to be an email address that the customer has access to. The thing is, once you've registered this account, your customer is going to receive an email to that address that you enter into this field here. And that email is going to give them directions as to how to set up UI7 on their end of the bargain. So UI7 has an administrative side, which is the installer side. It's the one that programs everything. That's the one that can change everything. And then it has an end user side. Now the end user side, they can go ahead and change location. They can customize notifications, but they can't add or change devices unless they pay a a yearly subscription fee to Mios, which is approximately $20. That's up to them. And that's something that they do in conjunction with Mios. Has no relation to you or your installation company or to URC. That's something optional. It's not necessary in order to have this up and running. But what is necessary is that they do need to complete their UI7 setup in order to access URC Home and control devices. So in this box here is where you're going to go ahead and enter in that email address and enter in your customer's name. And this is just really for, the customer's name is really for organizational purposes, because once you have all your sub-accounts into your dealer account, you'll see them all listed, which I'll show you when we jump into the Mios portal. Then what you're going to do after you've entered in the email and the customer's name, you're just going to use this Use Values button, which you can see to the right. And by selecting that, it's going to incorporate the serial number and MAC address into the left-hand side. You never, never, never want to enter in those numbers manually into those two little subfields. That's just going to create a nightmare for you, and it's just not going to work. If these numbers aren't populating on the right-hand side, it means you have some type of network issue, whether the TRF-ZW2 is not connected to the network or it's already been associated to an account, in which case you would need to contact URC to have that removed. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Once you've got all that done, once the serial number and MAC address have auto-generated into the register new control for new user column, you can just select register, and this will add the account to your account list. So accessing UI7 is very simple. Just look under your accounts and you can see all the accounts that are listed. So you can see I didn't provide any customer names for all these accounts that I have here, so this is all blank. But since I've done all these pretty recently, I know which ones are which. But essentially to access UI7, you would just select this button here that says go to local UI. Just make sure that you're selecting the right ZW2, otherwise you'll be accessing somebody else's gateway. So let's go ahead and take a look. So this is the UI7 portal. But before we look at that, I want you to really take a look at the Mios portal, which is this portion right here. So we enter in our email, enter in our password. We're going to go ahead and select login. So just as you saw on the images in the presentation, this is exactly how it looks. When you log in, you may want to change your password, so just make sure you're on the General tab. It's right next to Dashboard. Just select Change Password. Enter in the temporary password you were sent from URC. Enter in the password you want, confirm it, and then that's it. It's nice and simple. So here under All Accounts, you can see all the accounts that are associated to my dealer account. So this first one here is actually a Z-Wave unit that I have at home. This is the one that I'll be showing you guys today, and these are two that I use for testing. So if I ever wanted to remove either one of these units, what I would have to actually do is contact technical support, make sure that that ZW2 is connected to the network, and then from there technical support can go ahead and remove that account from your dealer account. But it is a bit of a process, so you need to call technical support, and you also need to make sure that that ZW2 is connected to the network so that they can go ahead and remove that account. So now we're just going to go ahead and connect to the local UI. And this takes us to UI7, just as you saw in the previous screen that I had up. By default, it's going to open you up to the dashboard, which you can find a lot of information on the dashboard. You can see alerts. You can see the current status of your home. You can see that this has not had an installation that was completed. I have no security devices in the system, nor energy devices. So by default, you would see information here filled out. You can see general system alerts. You can see what mode the ZW2 bridge is set to at the moment. You can also change it by selecting any one of these four modes. So if I wanted to change it to night mode, I can just select that. And anytime you select something, keep in mind that all this communication through the network does take some time to work. So you can see by selecting this, I do have to wait 30 seconds in order for it to send the signal to the TRZW2. Other things you can find here, you can see shortcuts. Shortcuts by default always puts your lights and sometimes, and most of the times, a door lock or some type of security device like that. And then you can, from there, you can have simple options, so turn all on or turn all off. And what locks would either be enable or lock or unlock. And favorites, you can view any devices that your customer has put a little star on as their favorite devices for quick and easy access. So the first thing you want to do here when you get here is actually go into the settings menu. In the settings menu, let me just delete these rooms real quick. This was from this morning's class. I do apologize for that. So from here, the first place you want to stop is firmware. You want to make sure that your TRZW2 has the latest firmware. So as you can see, this one has the latest firmware, which is 1.7.16.12. Now, if you were trying to upgrade from UI 6 to UI 7, you would still go into the settings menu, go into firmware, and you would look for this option here, which is advanced URL for custom gateway firmware. There is a link available in the URC control room. That link allows you to just paste that information here and select download, and that'll upgrade your UI 6 to UI 7. Now keep in mind, this is only recommended if you're going into a fresh job site with a fresh install and you happen to have a TRZW1. If you already have a TRZW1 installed in a customer's home and everything's working fine, there's absolutely no need to do this. The next place you want to stop by here is Net and Wi-Fi. So this is if you want to go ahead and have your TRZW2 communicate over Wi-Fi, which to do so you would just select through a Wi-Fi access point and select scan and connect to a Wi-Fi network. Now this will do is it'll go ahead and scan for all available wireless networks that are in the home. You can find the one you want, select the SSID, enter in your encryption, and then follow the directions that UI 7 will give you in terms of how to disconnect the Ethernet cord and the process that goes with that. If you wanted to set your TRZW2 to a static IP address, you can select manually configure. Now for total control, this is a requirement, but for MX HomePro it is not. So with MX HomePro you can just leave it at the automatically configure settings, and that's fine. Just hit save and apply, and that does that. The next thing is location. So the TRZW2 does have a built-in astronomical clock, which it uses for event-based scenes and such. So you always want to make sure that this information is filled out. You can either fill this out yourself, or your customer can do this or change this via their access to their UI 7 portal. Other things you can find here is backup. So backups are done for the most part almost every day, and it backs up to the MIO server. Now if you wanted to create a manual backup, you absolutely could, and this is how you would do it. You would just go to this tab. Let's give it a second to communicate with my ZW2. Bear with me 1 minute, guys. Just give me a few moments, folks. Sometimes this our network here gets a little bogged down with all the testing that goes on, as well as all the offices and cubes that have their own devices going on. So it can take a little while sometimes. Okay, so as you can see here, these are the backups that happen almost every day. So you can see it started backing it up since we've got a couple days here. So yeah, it'll back it up as long as it's connected to the network. It'll go ahead and create a backup onto the MIO server that you can access. Otherwise, if you wanted to create a manual backup, all you would do is select this button here and follow the process from there. Real simple. If you ever wanted to do the manual backup, it's recommended if you wanted to like add additional devices or make certain changes that may that you're just testing or you're not sure may work, and you just want to make sure that you have a backup of the stuff that was already on there and already working. Customer care, here you can find the links to downloads, like manuals, firmware, contact information, stuff like that. Logs, this just gives you, this is actually for technical support in case you're in contact with technical support, either it be from URC or from MEOS. And then Z-Wave and Insteon settings are usually options you don't have to change unless instructed to do so. So rooms is really where we're going to go next, and rooms is something that you can match with your MX HomePro system. So if you want to match room names with MX HomePro, you can. This is really for organizational purposes though. You want to make it at least a little easy for your customers. So if you have 2 rooms in MX HomePro that are labeled a specific way and you want to make sure that they know which rooms those are, you can make those same room names here. However, there is no room linking with MX HomePro and UI7. It's not like Accelerator or Total Control, where you have to match the room names in order for it to create that link. It doesn't work the exact same way, but it's still recommended you do something like that. So let's log into the MX HomePro system and let's see what rooms we're going to be dealing with. So we're going to be using a living room and a bedroom. So we're going to go back here, we're going to add a room, type in living room, and we're going to add a bedroom. Now we are going to add one more room that we're not going to add into the MX HomePro system, and simply because of the way that the MX HomePro system works, there's no benefit to adding this room. What we're going to do is we're going to add a front door. And the reason we're adding a front door is because I'm going to be showing you how to pair 2 common devices today. I'm going to be showing you how to pair a Z-Wave door lock as well as a Z-Wave lamp dimmer. So now that we've got our rooms added to this, we're going to jump into devices, and you see this is pretty blank. We don't have anything in the system, so we're going to go ahead and add something to the system. So to get started, we select Add Device, and we can see this fairly long list of devices that we can go ahead and add. So we've got alarms, thermostats, energy devices, which is just energy monitoring devices and such, dimmers and lights, security cameras, door locks, sensors, handheld, other devices, generic device, Insteon, and UPnP devices. So if any of these device categories don't fit the device you're trying to add to Z-Wave, don't panic. It doesn't mean that your Z-Wave device is not compatible with the TRS-ZW2 bridge. It simply means that you need to use either other device or generic device to add it to the system. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with the dimmer. So we're going to select dimmers and lights, and the one that I'm using is the URC Vivito lamp dimmer. So we just select that. So now we can see the blue status bar, which is located at the top of the screen. So this status bar really lets you know what UI7 and ZW2 are up to. So right now it is ready to add new devices. So we're going to select next. And now we're going to go ahead and just flick the switch on the dimmer. I just did a single press, didn't hold it, so you can see device detected. Checking new device, please wait. And anytime UI7 tells you to please wait, do as it says. Don't try to jump the gun. That's when issues can occur and you can have things that will not work or anything like that. So this one's done. We're going to throw this one in the bedroom, so we're just going to rename this. Actually, we'll throw this in the living room. Living room dimmer. So now I'm going to hit finish, and we're just going to wait. Now, this little pop-up will come up. Please wait for the device to be configured. This process usually takes from 5 to 90 seconds. The screen will disappear automatically after the device is figured or the maximum 90 seconds have passed. So we're just going to go ahead and wait this out so that this can just be added to the system. While we wait, if you guys have any questions, just please drop them in the questions box. Otherwise, once this window goes away, we'll continue on with the class. So we can see the blue status bar is going crazy up top because it's still doing work behind the background. So stuff that we can't necessarily see that's going on, but once it's all done, you can see that it's added. We can see the room, living room, and we can see dimmer. So we have direct control of it. If I were to hit the on button, it would go all on. And if I wanted to adjust the brightness, I can do so by just using this little slider. You can see the little notification here, sending command, successful transmit was okay. By selecting this, we can change a couple settings. We can go ahead and rename the device, assign it to a different room, turn it on or off. We can go into settings and change a couple things. Same thing with advanced device options, and the logs will let you know when the device was used. This is really good for keeping track of things that are going on. And then scenes, well, notifications will also allow you to customize what kind of notifications your customer will get. They can also customize what kind of notifications they'll get. Just to kind of give you an example of what it looks like. You would select the notification, so device is turned off, energy usage goes above, and there's plenty of options for you to select for notifications. And then the last thing is scenes, but we're going to do scenes after we've programmed our second device. So we're going to go ahead and go back to devices, and we're going to add another one. This time we're going to go to door locks, and we're going to be selecting the quickset door lock. And with this door lock, it is a battery operated door lock, so it's a battery operated Z-Wave device. What that means is that it has its own internal battery. It is not connected to any type of power supply. With these types of devices, the initial communication can take a little bit longer. And also keep in mind that door locks in general take a while to communicate to the ZW2 bridge. And the reason for that is that they need to exchange security keys, and that process can take a while, which you guys are going to see, which is one of the reasons why we chose this device for this class, just so you guys can see that even though it takes a while, it does still work. You just have to kind of be patient with the communication and the pairing process. So here we go. We've got our blue status bar that's ready, so we're going to select next. Now for this particular door lock, there's just a little lid that comes off on the rear portion of the door lock, and there's two buttons, an A and a B. And all I have to do is hit the A button once. You can see that the device is detected on the blue status bar, and it is currently exchanging security keys. So like I said, this process does take a while, and it is going to outweigh the timer that you see on the bottom of the screen. That doesn't mean that it's not working. So just give it a little bit to do what it's got to do, and then I will show you some more things about this. And again, if you have any questions, just please drop them into the questions box. So you can see the timer definitely hit 0, and it's still exchanging security keys, as we can see on the top portion, but now we see the little spinner. Now you may see that it says device failed to configure, and this is just something that happens sometimes with battery operated Z-Wave devices, but we can still change this. And the real way to test to see if it worked, which I'm going to show you in a second, is to complete this process, select finish, So as we can see in this situation, it's going to take more of the 90 seconds as opposed to the 5 seconds. But after this, once this device is added, I'll show you how you can add security pins to your Z-Wave door lock. And this process is going to be the same regardless of what manufacturer door lock you have. It's all going to be done through the settings menu of the device. I'll show you where you can find notifications that you can set for your customers to receive. And then I'm going to show you how to create a scene. After that, we'll be jumping into the MX HomePro editor and doing a couple things there. So once this is complete doing its roundabout here, we're going to see a separate room added here with the actual Z-Wave device. And just to show you, as you see this little star here, we can actually select the star to add this to our favorites. So here we go. Here's our door lock. And to simply test it, we're just going to go ahead and hit this button here. And we can see that it has sent the command and that it has locked our door lock. So something good to see there. And we can go ahead and turn this off. So now we're going to go to scenes. So scenes are where you can incorporate multiple Z-Wave devices to accomplish a specific task. So we're going to go ahead and select Add Scene. This little pop-up will come up anytime you're creating a scene for the first time. We're going to set up a scheduled scene. We're going to do it daily. And we're going to do it at 10 p.m. So we're going to go ahead and do the next step here. So we're going to select the devices. And we want the door lock and we want the living room lights. So we'll select next. Now we want the living room lights to be off for this scene. So we're going to leave that at off. And then what we want is the door to be locked. So this is actually perfect right here. So if it was like, I'm sorry, here we go. So at 10 p.m. we want the doors to be locked, which we can see right now. And we want the living room dimmer to be off. So every day at 10, this macro is going to play. Well, I'm sorry, this scene is going to play, but essentially it is a macro. So that's been created here. Now we can add delays if we wanted to. We can go to the next step, which just asks a couple questions. You know, this scene runs, we can put this into night mode. So we'll select that here. When the scene runs, we can choose who to notify if we wanted to. Also execute the following loop code, but we don't have any LUUP devices. And then we just select the room, which we don't have to since this is just a good night macro, which is what we're going to call it, good night scene. Sorry, I use those words interchangeably, so I kind of forget which ones I'm using at the time since they kind of do the same thing, or at least that's how my brain categorizes them. We're just going to call it good night, select finish, and we'll see this here. So again, just anytime you see this little spinning wheel, just let it do its thing. And you can see when this was programmed. Well, this is when it's next to run, so when it's going to run the next time. So it's going to run March 6th, which is today, at 10 p.m. And it has never run before, so it's just there. If we wanted to test it, we could just select this button here, which will go ahead and play that scene with everything that we program in there. Now we're going to create another scene later on, but we're going to jump into the MX HomePro editor first. So by default, once you log into the MX HomePro editor, you're brought to the Home Overview tab. So you can see all the stuff here. We need to delete this scheduled event here. So we've got all of our entertainment devices. We have a living room Nest thermostat programmed in here as well. But we're going to go to the programming menu, and I'm going to show you how to incorporate the TRZ W2 bridge. Which to do so, we're going to select Add Advanced Devices to the system. We're going to drop down this box and select URC TRZW. We're going to hit Next. We're going to rename this to Z-Wave Gateway. If your TRZW2 is connected to the same network that your hub is connected to, it'll automatically discover it. And as you can see right here, all you have to do is select it and hit Next. Now if you don't see this show up, you want to go ahead and confirm your network connections. You want to make sure that the hub is connected to the same network as the gateway. You want to make sure that your gateway is connected to the network. So if you have access through it through UI7, you typically have a connection established. So as long as this is here, you can just select it and hit Next. So you'll go ahead and get this notification just letting you know that you do need an account for that. So there you go. We can hit Finish, and when we go to the Home Overview, we can see that it is right here under Advanced Devices. So if we hit this little pencil icon, we can go ahead and change the name. We can get update data from the TRZW. So what that does is if you've made any changes in UI7 and you want to make sure those changes are reflected in MX HomePro, you select this button to download the information from the ZW2. And then this one here will just go ahead and take you to the MIOS portal, which then gives you access to UI7. And we can go ahead and hit Save. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a watch movie button. And what we want this watch movie button to do is incorporate a scene from Z-Wave. So we're going to go back to UI7. We're going to create a scene. And we're just going to do a device trigger. So we're going to select this. We're going to select the living room dimmer. And, oops, I'm sorry. I went to the wrong one. This is to have a device react to another device. We're going to do a manual one. We're going to select next. We're going to select our device, which is just this. And we want the lights to dim up to 25%. So we'll go to the next step. When this is running, we can go ahead and change this. We don't really need to change a mode in this section, but what we are going to do is we're going to add this to the living room, and we're going to call this movie. Watch movie. And we'll select finish. So once this completes, we'll be able to see this here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and jump back into the MX HomePro editor, and I'm going to show you how to incorporate that into an automated activity. So as you can see, since this isn't a scheduled event, it doesn't have a next run. This would be something that if your customer wanted to use, they would either use the R500 remote control to just play this scene, or they could go ahead, if you incorporate this into the automated activity, which we're about to do, they won't even need to do that. They could just hit the device button for watch cable, and it'll play this scene along with the other entertainment devices. Now, if we were using the URC Home app, we would have the option to press both of these as buttons and play those scenes. So we're going to go here. First thing we're going to do is go to the Home Overview. We're going to go back to the pencil icon on Z-Wave, and we're going to hit Update Data from TRZW. Since we created something new, we want to make sure the MX HomePro editor is aware of what we just created. Hit Save, and now we'll jump into the Advanced menu, and we're going to go to Automate Activities on the Entertainment menu. And what we're going to do is build an automated activity on a new Entertainment page button. We're going to call this Watch Cable, and we'll select Next. So here we would build our macro as we normally would, so just bear with me as I do this. Actually, we're not using cable. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Z-Wave Gateway, and we're going to select the scene Good Night. Now, the only thing you can have access to with MX HomePro and Z-Wave are scenes. You cannot incorporate individual Z-Wave commands into any macros. That's just something that currently MX HomePro is not compatible with. That could change at a later time, but as it stands right now, the only system that we have that can do that is Total Control. Once that's all done, we'll select Next. We'll disable the help screen, and that's it. That completes the incorporating the Z-Wave scene into an automated activity. It's very simple. And you can do this for any automated activity, so if I wanted to incorporate that Good Night macro into an entertainment event, I can just go ahead and, that Good Night scene into an automated activity here. I can just do this. And just match it up exactly with what's in UI7. Now granted, even if I didn't set up this button, it would still happen regardless. So me showing you that may be not exactly the best way to incorporate something like this, but just showing you that you can use any Z-Wave scene into any type of automated activity. It's really that simple, and it's really cool and convenient to use. So something that you guys do need to know, and that's if you're using the R500 remote control with Z-Wave, you do need to access the settings menu, which we're going to just jump into that right here. So to access the settings menu, you want to hold the home and enter button for over 3 seconds. It's really closer to 10 seconds. And you want to go to accessory account info. Under accessory account info, you'll see this, which says TRZW. You want to select that. You want to select that, and you want to enter in the username and the password. This is not your username. This is not your password. This is not the administrative stuff. This is the username that your customer has and the password that they set up. Remember when I told you when you register a TRZW under their email address, they're going to receive an email from MEOS and they have to finish those steps to completing their account. If they do not, then you won't have any information to put in here. So if they don't fill that out, they cannot use their R500 with Z-Wave. So just something that you need to know when you're doing this. Other bits of documentation that we have here, we've got the Z-Wave integration guide. So this is just a general overview, a document that just tells you how to get your MX HomePro system going with Z-Wave, how to register a TRZW2 bridge, how to do everything, even how to add devices and change settings within the settings menu. So pretty much everything I've showed you, just more condensed, more broken down. And you can see that this is how the URC Home app looks on an iOS or Android device. With the live camera feed, they can see a live feed directly onto the URC Home app. And you can view those same live feeds on the R500 remote control as well. And as you can see here, it also goes into the process of adding the TRZW account information into the R500 remote control. If you're interested in adding cameras, Z-Wave cameras, which Z-Wave cameras are the only types of cameras that can be incorporated into MX HomePro, highly recommend you check out the camera documentation. So this gives you all the information as to how to do it, how to compare cameras with your UI7 portal and with your TRZW2 bridge. And if you're using the R500 remote control, you can view it directly onto that. You can also view it via the URC Home application. And we do have a link for this on the control room so that you can see all the camera URLs. So lots of good information that you can find on here. And if you want to take a look at how the apply for a dealer account looks like, you can just select, I'll just select this real quick so you can take a good look at it. Give me 1 second, guys. So yeah, real simple information. Just fill this all out. Once it's all done, you'll submit it to, I believe it submits through an email. So whatever email you provide, you'll get an email in return with the temporary password for both your MX HomePro editor account and your MEOS account. So just good information to have there. On the URC control room, I just want to show you guys some stuff. So if you don't have access to the MX HomePro editor, you can just go ahead and hit the Get Started tab here under MX HomePro. And you can view all that documentation under Software and Resources. It's all located on the bottom. You've got all the owner's manuals, reference guides, installation manual, programming guide, all that right here, downloadable as PDFs. On the URC University, which is right here, we've got our training calendar so you can see updates on live events. So you can see we've got a hands-on training in LA right now for Total Control. We're having the Alexa integration webinar on Friday. So just stuff that you guys may want to keep an eye out. Next week we have MX HomePro an introduction, so just a general overview of what MX HomePro is and does. And then that Friday we have a webinar for Total Control, which is more macro programming, notifications, geofencing, and NFC. Under course catalog, you can see all the different types of courses that are offered by URC and that you guys can take at your leisure. And JR is the one that actually does all of these e-learnings. They're very well thought out. They're very detailed, and it's a self-paced course, so you do it as you want. You can dedicate as much time as you want to with all of these. But there's plenty of information in this and a lot to learn in all of these. So specifically for today's class, configuring Z-Wave devices would probably be the one you want to take. And it shows you how to configure the gateway, which just goes over how to set it up to the network and how to incorporate it into MX HomePro, configuring and controlling devices, adding devices to Z-Wave and configuring them with all the different types of settings and stuff, and creating scenes, which with JR's class he shows you multiple different scenarios and multiple different instances where you can create scenes and ideas as to how to create scenes. So it's really good material to take a look at. And other things you got here, so getting started with MX HomePro, becoming an expert, which really goes into detail as to the full capabilities of your dealer account. So lots of information available in the URC control room and the URC University. So that's all I've got for you guys today. If you guys have any additional questions, just please make them in the questions box. Otherwise, thank you for joining us today and hope you have a great day.